Pangu, and the opening of the world. Long ago, the sky and the earth were as one. Chaos reigned, and all that existed was yet unmade, as if waiting within a great egg. And within this egg slumbered the giant, Pangu. After 18,000 years, Pangu awoke from his slumber. He wished to see the world, so he raised his axe and split a crack between sky and earth. The light Yongqi rose and became the sky. The heavy Yinqi descended and became the earth. But Pangu feared that one day the sky and earth would join together again. So he planted his feet on the earth and supported the sky with his head. Every day, the earth dropped hundreds of feet deeper and the sky rose hundreds higher. So Pangu grew with the earth and sky and became taller and taller. Another 18,000 years passed, and Pangu, exhausted, had no strength left to stand. He fell to the earth and died. As Pangu lay dying, his breath became the wind and clouds, his voice the rumble of thunder. His left eye became the sun, and his right eye became the moon. His limbs and torso became the 5 mountains. His blood became rivers, and his meridians became roads. His flesh and skin became fields. His mane and beard became the stars. The hair of his body became flowers and trees. His teeth and bones became metal and stone. His marrow, pearl and jade. His sweat, rain and dew. With his body, Pangu became the world. Nua creates man. When first the world was made, there was a sun and a moon and stars in the sky, and mountains and rivers and trees, but no man. One day, a goddess strode over the earth, and her name was Nua. She bore the face of a man and the body of a snake. Legend tells that she could change her shape 70 times a day. She was a mighty god with powerful magic. She felt that the world was too quiet, so she made a small doll in her own likeness, fashioned out of clay and water. As soon as the doll touched the earth, it sprang to life and called out to Nua, "Mother, Nua beamed and called the little clay doll human. Pleased with the fruits of her labors, she began to fashion humans out of clay day and night, and very soon the land was teeming with them. Nua quickly grew exhausted with her labors, so she picked up a vine and threw it into a puddle of mud. When Nua drew forth a vine, it was heavy with mud flecks. And when each fleck of mud landed on the earth, it transformed into a tiny human who could speak and move and looked exactly like all the humans Nua had fashioned before. In this way, Nua created the rest of the human race with astonishing speed, and before long they filled every corner of the earth. The humans went about their lives. They spent all of their days plowing the land, and all of their nights resting from their toil. Nua, pitying the monotony of their lives, turned dew into wine and gave it to the people. From then on, when humans gathered, they would drink wine and make merry. Once her work was done, Nua considered her creations. Humans will one day die, she thought, and if all of them were to die, Nua would need to fashion them out of clay all over again. But if humans could learn to multiply of their own accord, they could live on for many generations. Nua divided little people into men and women, so together they might breed and produce children of their own. The humans revered Nua as the goddess of marriage and procreation, and worshipped her with the very wine she had gifted them. Fuxi draws the Bagua. After Pangu released the sky and the earth, a brother and sister walked the vast land. Nua and Fuxi. They wished to be married, but were afraid they would be punished by the heavens. So they journeyed to Mount Kunlun, lit a fire, and declared to the heavens, "If you agree with our union, let the smoke rise in a column. If you do not, let it spread in a cloud." As they spoke, the smoke of the fire rose and did not disperse but held firm in a single column. So the siblings became husband and wife. And soon after Nua created humans, Fuxi became their king. In those days, nature was mysterious and ever-shifting. The people were unprepared for the turmoil of the natural world. They couldn't say why the rain fell or the clouds cleared, or why the wind blew and the thunder cracked, or what was the essence of water and fire. So they asked Fuxi, but he knew no more than his people did. Fuxi stood on a mountaintop, lifted his face to the stars, and considered the world, trying to understand ever-shifting nature. Finally, one day, Fuxi understood that all of heaven and earth followed the law of balance. All the world was divided between yin and yang. In turn, yin and yang were divided into 4 changing seasons, which gave rise to the 8 forces of nature. To demonstrate what he had discovered, Fuxi created the Bagua, an image representing the 8 forces of nature as contrasting pairs. fire and water, mountain and earth, thunder and wind, marsh and heaven. Ever since, the people of the world have used the Bagua to understand the falling rain and the howling wind and the cracking thunder and the essence of water and fire. Finally, they could prepare themselves for the turmoil of nature. Gong Gong and the Bujiu Mountain. Gong Gong, the malevolent god of water, went to battle with his nemesis, the fire god Zhurong. Gong Gong marshaled his soldiers and his generals and marched on Zhurong's seat of power, the Palace of Light. Gong Gong summoned forth his waters to smother the ever-burning fires surrounding the Palace of Light. Storm clouds turned daylight to darkness. Lightning and thunder raged overhead, and the rain came down in a torrent. It was then that Zhurong emerged from the palace with his mighty fire dragon at his side to meet Gong Gong's forces in battle. Wherever Zhurong fought, the rain and thunder abated. The storm cloud shrank back, and daylight returned to the land. Enraged, Gong Gong ordered his generals to gather up all the waters of the world from every river and lake and sea to smother Zhurong. In an instant, the horizon was dominated by gigantic waves, roaring up into the sky, rushing toward Zhurong and his fire dragon. The waters of the world crashed over them, and their flames were put out. But then, as soon as the water receded, the fires of Zhurong and his dragon kindled back to life. The fire god fell on Gong Gong, lashing him with fire. All hope of victory fading, the forces of the water god fled back to the sea, where they thought they would be safe from Zhurong. But the fire god was determined to claim a total victory. Wherever he and his dragon went, the sea made way before him, rolling aside and allowing his passage. He laid waste to the forces of the water god until Gong Gong had no choice but to battle Zhurong himself. Zhurong, god of fire, defeated the water god. Battered, broken, and ashamed, Gong Gong fled to Mount Bujiu. But when he looked back, he saw that Zhurong was pursuing him yet again. In his shame and rage, Gong Gong dashed his head against the mountainside, and with an enormous crack, the mountain was broken. Without Mount Bujiu to uphold the firmament, a great fragment of the sky collapsed, and a hole in the heavens gaped overhead. The earth itself was riven with chasms. Unmoored, the sky tilted, so that the sun, moon, and stars all slid to the northwest, and the rivers, lakes, and streams all sank into the southeast. The mountains and forests blazed with fire. Water came flooding down from the hole in the firmament. Ferocious beasts prowled the land. All the world had fallen into a waking nightmare. Nuwa Men's heaven. The world had fallen into disaster. After Gong Gong destroyed Mount Bujiu, fires spread unquenchable. Terrible floods rose up from the sea. Wild beasts preyed on men and women. Birds of prey snatched away the old and the young. From the black breach in the sky, a black dragon burst forth, razing the villages and cities of mankind, and ravaging all living things with its fangs. Nuwa watched the human beings she had fashioned out of clay suffer, and her heart was broken. To restore peace to her people, Nua resolved to repair the breach in the sky. She selected stones of all colors, built a great fire, and spent 81 days smelting the stones into a slurry. With it, she mended the sky rift. She used mounds of burnt reed grass to protect the lands from flooding. She sought out the giant turtle who lived in the deep sea, cut off its 4 legs, and used them to once again hold up the sky. And she slew the tyrannical black dragon, saving the lives of countless men and women who would otherwise have been devoured. The sky was repaired, the pillars between heaven and earth restored. The floodwaters receded. Nua guided the forces of yin and yang and restored the seasons. The monstrous birds and beasts died, while the people of the world survived. But traces of the calamity remained. Since the sky would always thereafter tilt to the northwest, the sun, moon, and stars all gathered there. And since the earth tilted southeast, there all rivers ran. Though Nua had saved the earth and the people who dwelt on it, she demanded no praise, but quietly retired. To honor her, the people of the land built temples to Nua all across the world, forever thanking her for her service to mankind. Peace reigned over the earth, and the affairs of gods and men had only just begun.